What's up, YouTube? Heathens here. This video I was going to talk about a little bit of trip planning, on how I do it, and what tools I use to trip plan. First off, if you don't have one of these, I mean, it's not a bad idea to have one. I know some people they don't really care for it. It is an atlas. I always have one on the truck. I don't use it like religiously, as some other people would, but it's a great tool to have on the truck in case electronics go down, because it happens. GPS goes down all the time. Another tool I have is a pocket truck book. This gives you all the truck stop guides, by the state, by the interstate, and freeways. This is a great thing to have as well. I know a lot of people use Trucker Path. I use Trucker Path as well. But that little book is also great if electronics go down. It also tells you how many miles is on the interstate from one point to the other. Another tool I use, which is normal for everyone to have, is I have a Ram McNally. So I have this one. It's been a while that I've actually used GPS like this. I just recently bought that one. The last Ram McNally I had was about 5 years ago. Then also I have the Navigo as well. Navigo is a great tool with Prime, because they like to drop pins exactly where the truck needs to go. That's $10 a month for lease operators to have. I think it's well worth to have just in case. And then I also have my phone. My phone's a great tool. I use Google Maps or Apple Maps, and basically I only use that for satellite. I go in, check the shipper, check the receiver on satellite feed to see if the parking lot is hard to get to, or exactly how to get to it, if it's small, big. So all that is key factors of my trip planning. It also allows me to see reviews of the place and to see if they have overnight parking, because sometimes the Prime app may say that they have overnight parking, but they've removed it and then get updated with Prime. Google Reviews is a great place. Trucker Path is a great place to also get those kind of reviews of the places, like Walmart's, if they have allowed truck parking or not to go shopping. So given that, those are all the tools I have that I use as part of my arsenal. Now when I get proposed a load, how I accept the load is all entirely of my trip planning. I go based on a 50 mile per hour average. FedEx goes based on a 45 most of the time, mile per hour average. So if you're at a 50 mile per hour average, you go based off your hours you have to complete the load. If I can't make it there at a 50 mile per hour average, more than likely I'm declining the load, because it's going to be more tighter than I really want it to be. So basically, in order to figure all that out, is you take a total amount of miles, okay? And I never go based off the dispatched miles, ever. I'll go into my Ram McNally, punch in the addresses to the shipper, and then add a stop to the receiver and get my actual total miles. Normally it's about almost 100 mile difference sometimes. I've seen it as high as 120 miles, which to me seemed kind of outrageously, but Prime doesn't pay actual miles. They pay house miles, which is zip code to zip code. So I take the actual mileage divided by 50 miles per hour. If I have the hours to run it, I'll run the load. If I don't, send a message back like, hey, I don't have the hours to complete this load, go ahead and push it back. The Atlas itself, what I use that one for is to see if maybe there might be a route that's, state routes, because the Ram Ganali usually keeps me on interstates, Navigo also as well. For some reason, Navigo likes to route me around major cities when I can easily just go straight through the city. Almost kind of like it feels like it's doing hazmat loads, which makes sense a little bit. But I also, depends on what time of day I'm going through the city. If I'm going to go through Indianapolis and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll either one, stop about an hour ahead or 30 minutes ahead of time before hitting the city, and take an extended break before going through the city, because there's no point of hitting the city during rush hour traffic. It's just going to take forever to get through regardless. Or I'll take the route around it. That's another thing that's great about the Atlas, is the Atlas, you can actually find routes around it that's, regular highways, US highways instead of interstates, that may be more beneficial to you to use. Every time I'm in a traffic jam or anything like that, basically the first thing I see everyone doing, trying to figure out on their phone while they're driving at 5 miles an hour if there's another route they could take instead of paying attention to what they're doing. And that's going to be another video, another down the road. I had a situation happen this last week. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to do a video about it. But yeah, trip planning, 50 miles per hour before I accept the load, based off my hours. I also include how much revenue per day for the load as well, and I do my routing. Team driving, I didn't really use the Atlas too much, because a lot of times we can, we power through anyways, and I don't really go based on a 50 mile an hour average sometimes when I team drive. But as a solo, it is crucial to have a set point to where you can accept the load, and if you can make it with the hours, because I try to make it where I have the hours to get there, get out, and get onto another load. I also like to get there early enough, close enough. Like for instance, this load I'm on right now doesn't deliver until 7 o'clock in the morning, and I got here at this truck stop where I'm about 3 hours away, and shut down, and I ain't gonna move the truck until it gets closer to my appointment time to leave. I'll probably leave about 1:30 in the morning, even though it's 3 hours. But I like to give myself a little bit of cushion, and then if I get there soon enough, I'll end up getting a split break anyways. But it allows me to save my 14 from starting too soon, okay, and to be able to get onto another load and pick up the same day that I deliver, instead of getting there, delivering, and then having to take a 10 regardless. But that's part of my trip planning. Do not always follow the GPS. I know a lot of people are religious on those GPSs. They are not perfect. They will never be perfect. I even witnessed someone, okay, I was going through 64, and my Ragman Alley said to get off on this one off ramp, and for some reason it seemed like it was going to take me a different route to get around the toll. But realistically, when I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, that's not really, a route I want to take. On top of that, it just basically, it took me off the interstate just to put me back on the interstate. And I literally witnessed someone in front of me do exactly that. So it was kind of hilarious. They're not perfect. They're a great tool. Another tool to use that you should be using every day, all the time, is this one right here. Your brain's your biggest tool. Read the signs. A lot of people, they forget to read the signs and get off on the wrong exit, and all of a sudden they're on a no truck route, even though the GPS says that it is. Sign says otherwise. It takes 6 months for a GPS to really get updated. Things change really quickly. A route becomes, that used to be a truck route, is no longer a truck route. It happens. Information doesn't get relayed fast enough for it to get, updated. That's why your biggest tools right here. Watch signs, read signs, and follow the signs, and you won't find yourself in a problem. It is a pretty big ticket to be on a no truck route, especially if you end up going across a bridge that used to be a 40-ton limit, is now all of a sudden 20-ton limit because they're remodeling. They're restructuring it. So always read signs, and yeah, that'll do it for this video. Till then, go ahead and leave your comments down below, and I'll answer them accordingly. Heathens is here. I almost forgot, so I'm cutting into this video real quick. I also use a app called NOAA, N-O-A-A. I'll leave a link in the description. It's a weather app, radar, snow, lightning, tornadoes, hurricanes. It provides everything you need. That is also a tool I use religiously every day. I wake up, I look at it. Mid-shift, I look at it. Before I go to sleep, I look at it. It gives up to 48 hours of radar possibilities. I use that religiously, and it's a great app to have on your phone as part of your arsenal to be looking at. So I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. And sorry for cutting into this video. Heathens is here. I'm out.